Chekkerz here from ClimaxCombo, bringing you guys another deck profile. This time I'll be doing my updated Guilty Ground deck. It has a ton of cards from the comeback campaign that came out a little while ago, and they're pretty fucking good cards. So my deck's now red, yellow, and blue, so no more green. And yeah, I'll just get to it. Starting for level 0. We have 4 of these 0-0 Sugumis, 1k power. She is a runner, no condition necessary for that. And on play, you can reveal the top card of your library, and if it's a Funeral Prolore character, add it to your hand and then discard a card. So 4 of these. 4 vanilla Suiciders from the normal set. Nothing to say about that. 4 of these 0-0 Inori. She gives 500 power to all characters. I don't think it's type specific. All Funeral Prolore. And you can pay 1, rest her, and brainstorm. So middle top 4, and for every climax you hit, you can salvage a character. So 4 of those. 4 of these level 0 Shu, 1k power. On play, you can pay 1, clock yourself, and then search for a level 1 or lower character, and then add it to your hand. And his other effect is when he attacks, you can give another character plus 1k power for the turn. 4 of those. And lastly, 2 of these 0-0 mana. She's a level 0 shift, or just she has shift, and she clock bonds for level 1 guy, which is this. And some other guy in the normal set, but no one cares about that one. And so yeah, that's 18 level 0s. For level 1, pretty simple. 4 of these level 1 guy, 4,500 power, costless. For every Funeral Prolore character that you have on the stage, he gets plus 500 power. So hitting 6,500 power with a full field. 4 level 1 vanilla Shu, 5,500 power. And 2 of these Sugumi level 1s. A 1k backup, but if you have two or more Funeral Prolore characters on your field, then you can give another character plus 1k power. So 2k costless. And that's it for level 1. 10 level 1s. Level 2, we got 1 of these, 2-1. You can rest her to give another character 1,500 power, and she also has a climax phase change with the level 3 Inori. Pay 2, discard a card, and send her to waiting room, and you can bring that Inori from the waiting room. And that's about it for that one. 1 of those. 2 of these 2-1 Inori, 7k power. If she's battling a level 3, or when she's attacking a level 3, I think.
Yeah, when attacking.
When attacking a level 3, she gets plus 6k power, making her 13k, and she also climax combos with Uturp, which is this gate, or the Blind Stock 1 soul from the normal set. And it's on attack, you can salvage a character. So 2 of those. 2 of the level 2 Sugumi. Level multiplier in front, and when you play a character, you can look at the top card of your library and either leave it there and put it to the bottom, and this can happen up to twice per turn. 2 of those. 2 of these backups, 2-1, I say 2,500 power. A 2,500 power backup as well, and when you use this backup, you can pay 2 and kill one of your own characters, and then send one of your opponent's characters whose level is higher than their level to the waiting room. So 2 of these. And that's it for level 2. 7 level 2s. Now for level 3. 3 of these Inori. 10k power. She heals on play, and she also combos with Uturp. On attack, you can discard a card and then salvage 2 characters from your waiting room, add to your hand, and then she gets plus 1k power. So 3 of those. I should be running 4, but I only own 3. And for the level 3 guy from the combat campaign, 9k power. If you have 5 or less cards in your library, then he gets -1 level in your hand, meaning he can come out at level 2 with the right conditions. And he gets plus 2k power if you have 2 or more other Funeral per Lore characters. And lastly, the turn he's played, when he attacks, if his damage is cancelled, you can mill the top card of your library and you can add +1 to that and deal X damage, the level of the card +1. So if you mill a level 0 or a Climax, you deal 1 damage and so on, like that. So that's it for level 3, 7 level 3s. And lastly for Climaxes, 4 of the new gate U-turret and 4 wind triggers. This is just here for the trigger. There's no other good Climax combo. Unless you want to run 8 gates, but I decide not to. There we go. I can just do it from here.
Oh, okay.
So, how you play the deck level by level. It's pretty simple. Like, there's not much variation to it. Level 0, you either want your runner or you want your suicider out. The runner, for obvious reasons, just so it can start building you stock, and it'll keep staying alive as long as you have spaces to run to. And the effect is nice because you can start hand filtering early on, so you have a higher chance of getting what you need later. And the suicider is probably the only way you're going to be able to kill anything. Just trade with other stuff, because there's no other beaters in the deck besides this one. And usually you want your back row. It doesn't matter if you place these early or not, because there's nothing else that needs it or that has a downside from filling up your field in level 0. So I always have 2 of these in the back most of the time. And so this is basically global 1k, and it makes your other level 0s that much stronger. So this becomes a 3k suicider, this becomes a 2k runner. So that's really important. But you're basically just using these to generate stock. And you always want to get this off 1 or 2 times in the game, because it's basically pay 1 plus. Like, you take 1 damage, which isn't even that big a deal at level 0. And like, you can also use this card to level up faster to level 1, because your opponent, like, usually your opponent can leave you at 0.5, and then you can't level up. But with this, it gives you the ability to clock yourself, and then you're at 0.6, and then you can play this card and search out at level 1 or something like that. And now you're at 0.7, and then you level up. So, and it's a really good effect, because it lets you basically get anything you're missing. Like, you can search level 0s or level 1s, which are really, like, it makes the deck super consistent early on. But yeah, it's a really good card. That's why there's 4 of them. And plus his power is really nice on attack. It boosts everything else. There's not many ways to give things power in the deck, so he comes in handy. That's basically it for level 0. I hardly use this, but if you need it, if you need some guys in your hand and you don't have this, you can always just clock bond for a guy. But pretty simple there. And once you get to level 1, it becomes even simpler, because all you want to do is just keep playing these guys and just beating on them. That's basically it. There's nothing special to it. Guy can get really strong, 6.5 on his own, plus this 1k, so 7.5 if you have a full field with the right back row. And so 7.5 is pretty strong, especially for costless. And Shu, he's only a vanilla, but with these 2 it's 6.5, so pretty decent power. And having this, like, the level 0 Shu, as well as these, like, essentially plus brainstorms that you can do twice per turn, it keeps your hand up really, keeps your hand size up, and it allows you to just keep getting these and keep playing them and smacking things up. And they're already pretty annoying to deal with, so just, like, you basically don't run out of things to smack your opponent with. And if you need a backup, you always have 2k no cost, which is really good. So it makes guy 9-5, which is a really hard number to hit at level 1. 7-5 or 8-5 vanilla level 1. So pretty good, pretty solid level 1. For level 2, you have a few options. If you're winning the game quite heavily, then, and you have the opportunity, you could always play the level 3 guy. If you have the right conditions. A lot of times I don't think I can hit this or I can get this off, but sometimes you can, and it's not that hard to do because you just pay 2 and then you have a really big beefy guy because he's going to be 11k on his own because everything's basically funeral per lore, and his effect is really good because it's almost 2 attacks if your opponent cancels, and that's a really good end game ability. So if you're doing really well and you manage to play him, that could accelerate your game a little more. But a lot of times I don't have that option. There's always the changer. It provides a bit of healing if you get it off, and a lot of times I can build up a lot of stock. So doing the climax phase change is pretty heavy, but it's not that heavy for the deck actually. So there are times when you can pull this off, but a lot of times you don't really need to. You can just ride your level 1s up there, and if your opponent has a level 3 that comes out at level 2, you have a couple options to deal with that. There's the Inori that can hit 13k against the level 3, which is really good, and she's only 1 cost, and she has a really good climax combo, so you can always just use that last gate before you refresh, get something. Yeah, she's a really good card, and also anti-change is always there, so if your opponent has to use a lot of resources to get their level 3 out, you could always just play this. 2 and losing 1 isn't that big a deal because, like I said, it's not that hard to build to keep stock, and if you lose one, if you minus yourself 1, it's not going to be that big a deal because this deck has a lot of ways to plus. So this gives you really good options to deal with their level 2 game.
Technically, you're paying 3 because the backup
That's
is 1.
not that much though.
Busted.
Yeah. Oh, and also, when you start getting later into the game, you can play the Sugumi, and that'll boost your level 3s once you get there. And it helps a bit with the Inori level 2. And the other effect is really nice, just to, if you're too compressed, it can help out because there's a higher chance you'll trigger climaxes. So if you start looking at the top of your deck, you can see that you're going to trigger climaxes and move them to the bottom. So yeah, this is a really useful effect to have. And lastly, for level 3, where'd my other guy go? I don't know where it went. If you're a bit behind, like your opponent's still early, mid, level 2, and like you don't think you're gonna kill them, you can always play Inori to heal as much as possible if anti-heal isn't in the game. And you can also play her climax combo to get your hand up. Maybe you don't have any guys and they're all in your waiting room. You can always play her climax combo, get guys, and prepare for the next turn. But generally, when you're getting ready to deal big damage, I usually try to play at least 2 to 3 guys once you hit level 3, and that's just a pretty big turn because that's like almost 6 attacks if your opponent manages to cancel all of them. But even if they don't cancel, they're still taking damage. Like it increases the chances of killing them like a lot. So playing these is it's just your best level 3 turn.
It's like guaranteed damage.
Yeah, almost.
Almost.
You could cancel both, but that's crazy because then you're not going to cancel the rest. I don't know. Level 3 guy is really good, and it's the main focus of level 3. And that's basically it. It's pretty simple. Wind trigger is just there because wind trigger is a nice effect to have. It can fuck up certain decks. And yeah. That's basically it for level by level. And for alternatives, I don't really have much. Because, the whole deck, most of it is the comeback campaign cards. Because they're so good. They're really, it's really good. Level 0 Shoe is really good. This level 0 Inori is really good. Guy's really good. Everything's really good. The only thing I'd really change is the level 0 mana. Where'd she go? The clock bond. You don't really need clock bond. Like, there's so many ways to plus. I don't even need to use it because in the end, it's just 1 extra damage you took when you could have done something else. Like, it's really easy to get what you want with these two Inori in the back. Like, her Brainstorm is so good, and the fact that she only taps herself is even better. So instead of these mana, I'd probably run the level 0 guy that I don't have. He's 3500 power. He's wearing the tuxedo, if you guys know what I'm talking about. I think it's on play, you mill the top, and if it's a climax, then he sends himself to stock, or does he kill himself?
I think you lose a stock.
Oh, you lose a stock. It sucks if you don't have no stock. Then it's whatever.
Yeah, if it's a climax, you lose a reveal top. If it's a climax, you lose a stock.
There we go. So.
Like you guaranteed with the runner. So.
Yeah. So that level 0 guy is really good, and you kind of need it for the yellow count, because otherwise, like you have 8 level 1 yellow, so just a few more level 0s is pretty nice. But that's probably the only thing I'd change, besides adding 1 more level 1 Sugami backup, and 1 more level 3 Inori. And yeah, that's all. I just don't own those two, and it's hard to get the level 1 backup. But yeah, that's basically it, guys. I love this deck. Super consistent, super good. I love it. That's my Guilty Ground deck, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and until next time.